Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the studio. I am happy to be talking with you. We will see what the week holds for us. There is a lot more snow coming down, you guys, than what I expected for Monday morning. I don't know if anyone else was surprised by that. I still need to take a look at the forecast and see what we're dealing with. But hopefully we have classes all week this week. That is the plan. Kind of first and foremost, I'll address that since I know this is probably top of mind for everybody, but we plan to be open for classes. The nice thing about being a private business as opposed to a school, I only have to worry about 400 kids, and I don't have to worry about buses and bus stops and walkers. I don't have to worry. I don't have to make those decisions. I don't want to be the person that has to make those decisions. The only thing I have to worry about is my staff and my little community of artists. So we're going to do our very best to be open. And if things change, just make sure that you're checking that Twitter or X or whatever you call it, because that's where we'll post everything. And then, of course, if your class is affected by changes that we make, you will get an email. But as always, I don't trust the email systems to always deliver the email to your primary inbox. A lot of times they do go to promotions or spam. So the best thing you can do is check that Facebook or Twitter feed, because I know that one will be in date chronological order, and you will be able to see that. So that's our first note in the intro, is to make sure you're watching for weather updates and where to get that information. If you call the studio, you're just going to be disappointed, because we are a lot of times, like right now, the phone is on silent. Nobody's answering it. The voicemail just says check Twitter. So yeah. Also, I wanted to note that it is President's Day. So our preschool classes have a day off. If you're in Platte Woods on Monday, you either take a preschool fundamentals class or you take a toddler art and play class. We are scheduled for an off day today. That's not weather related or anything. It's just an off day that was already in your schedule, because that's a 3-time-a-month class. It's a day that we can take off, and so we do. If you are in any other Monday class, whether you come to K-3s or you come to drawing, this evening or today in the afternoon for a homeschool class, we are still meeting, even though it's President's Day. So it is not a day off. If you're ever wondering, like, gosh, Allison, how do I know what my schedule is? We have that information for you. It was when you registered. So it's kind of hindsight, right? But next time you register, there's a spot that says dates at the top of each class listing, and there's a calendar, and you can click it and you can look and you can see which days are on and which days are off, and you can actually put those onto your calendar when you register. Now, once you've already signed up, obviously you could go back to that class listing page, although it's kind of hard to find because I hid them on the website. So the best place you can look is inside your Sawyer account. So you can log into your Sawyer account, and you just click through until you see My Calendars, and you click on that, and it'll show you all the classes you're signed up for. It populates one calendar for each of your kiddos, and you can even export that to your iCalendar or to your Google Calendar. So that is always available for you to see your class calendar. When we adjust classes, so for instance, in January, when we had to move some classes because of weather, and we went ahead and said, let's reschedule this one to a previous off day. All of that is changed on the back end, and then it is reflected inside your Sawyer account. So it is kept up to date, and it should be accurate for you. So if you have trouble finding that, let me know. There is a website that tells you this information. You don't have to remember it. You can always find it. You go to orangeeaselart.com, you scroll to the bottom of the page, and in the footer of every single web page, there is a quick link to resources for current students, and how to find your schedule is one of those resources. All right, I forgot to print my notes, you guys, and so I'm looking at my screen for notes, which is not my favorite. No preschool classes, Monday classes meet, how to find your schedule. That's it. All right, let's dive in. We're going to talk through each of these classes. I have a little bit of examples to show you. So here is our first section here to talk about these preschool classes. This, again, as a reminder, no Monday classes. Everybody else is meeting as scheduled for now. Last week we read The Kissing Hand, and we made some mirror board art. That's what the artists over here on this side are looking at. So they're looking into that mirror board, and we decorated the outside of that. Remember, this is our month. It's all about portrait and figure. It's about me and my friends and our body and our faces and our hands and our feet. We also did some big giant art, and we laid on the floor and traced around our bodies, and then decorated it with different collage. and drawing and painting materials. So that was fun. Our kids enjoyed doing that. And the fun thing about that project is it's never really finished when they leave because it's so big. And big art takes lots of time. So we roll it up, take it home, and this is perfect for those snow days. Work on some big sheets of paper. My classes this week are going to be doing Ain't Gonna Paint No More, which is a classic and one of our favorite books to do. This Miss Christie was talking in our meeting Friday when we do our staff meetings, and she's like, this is my favorite class of the year. So your teachers are excited for this one. I'm excited. Don't miss this class. This one is, we're going to read, if you don't know the story, it's the story of a little boy. And he gets into a little bit of trouble because he gets out the paint and he paints things he's not supposed to. And his mother yells at him and she puts the paint up. She says, you ain't going to paint no more. She yells at him and she puts the paint way up on the top shelf. Well, spoiler alert, he does get that paint out. And he, instead of painting the curtains and the walls and the floor, he paints himself. So he paints arms and hands and legs and head and chest and all the body parts. And it all rhymes. It's a really cute book. And once we finish that, our journal activity, rather than working in our journals, we will paint ourselves. So I will be in shorts and a short sleeve shirt so that the artist can cover me in paint. It's like part art, part spa day. It's gonna be great. So don't miss Ain't Gonna Paint No More coming up this week for our preschool classes. Friday, people in Liberty, I don't know. I need to check with Nancy when she gets here. I don't know if you will do Ain't Gonna Paint No More or if you'll do Kissing Hand. Because we don't really need to do the stories in order. And so we might do Ain't Gonna Paint No More this week for you too. And even though you didn't do Kissing Hand last week, and we'll do Kissing Hand the next week, right? So plan on Ain't Gonna Paint No More. So that's probably the one we're gonna do for you guys. All right. All right, multimedia classes for our K-thirds. Hang on. I got it. I gotta get the stuff. So this is printmaking month, and our K-thirds are making collagraphs, right? I love this. This is a picture from one of our Liberty classes, and she's holding up her manila folder. So this got just the perfect amount of stiffness to it and substance, but it's still cuttable. We didn't want anything that was too hard to cut, like corrugated cardboard or even like cereal box cardboard. For little hands, gets a little bit tricky to cut. But the manila folders are just perfect. So we have these amazing shape punches, which helps us to cut out kind of more intricate shapes than maybe what our scissor skills will allow. And we are layering up these collagraph plates. Now, these aren't printed yet, so they're just kind of all one color. So I don't know if you're going to be able, oh, I can turn it sideways and you can kind of see all of this dimension that's happening here on this plate. So it's very textural. I am so proud, you guys, of how well these artists have been gluing things. There's a lot of gluing. It's a lot of cutting. I love this one. Can you see? Look, how fun is that pattern? So they had free reign to make any type of, whether it's abstract, whether it's geometric, whether it's a picture of something or a scene or a thing, so that they can do anything they want in making their collagraph and just get inspired, cut, paste, and create their prints. Now that these are done, a lot of them are done. There might be a few more that want to add some things to them. We will start printing this coming week. So this week we'll print if they're ready to print. Some of them will still build, but we'll get the printing process started. Usually we can only print about 4 people at a time, just because that way the instructors can be really hands-on with all of the prints. The nice thing about starting printing this week is if they pull a print and say it didn't have enough ink on it, or maybe they didn't press hard enough on one side with the baren to really burnish up that ink, or maybe they had too much ink and they lost all their details, or maybe it got smudged or smeared or moved. The great thing about printing is you just throw that one away and you do it again, because it's like a stamp, right? We just make a new one. So starting printing this week allows us to really focus on getting a good print, a print that they're happy with, and pulling up something that they're proud of, and rather than being like, hurry up and print, okay, you're done, it's good enough, and putting it in a mat. So So a lot of them will print this week. Doesn't mean they'll take it home, but hopefully they get into the printing process and come up with a print that they're happy with. If they're not, we still have one more week to do it. Okay. Now, my 4th and 5th and my homeschool group, you guys are carving. So we've got our kind of rubber plates. I call it lino, but it's not that they are carving. This last week, what they did was they did a lot of brainstorming, drawing, and then they started the carving. We also had to have a lesson in like how to carve, like how to keep your hand, your holding hand behind the knife. Don't put it in front of the knife. And you guys, I just want to say, we had a staff meeting on Friday and I asked the team, I was like, how's everybody doing with the sharp tools? And the instructor said, phenomenal. Like everybody, so mature, so responsible, so focused, doing really good with these sharp knives. So we're very proud of them. So this is an example of one of them. See, we started carving. There's also, I'm trying to keep my hands back because this artist has a lot of pencil lines written on here. I don't want to smudge them because that's probably still a plan for more carving. It's hard to tell what the picture is, right? Until we get to the carving part. This one, they've got like it noted, like this one right here, and this, I think it's a tree, says black, right? So if we want it to be black, that means we don't touch it with a knife, because what we carve away will be white. We're working in positive and negative space. So good for our brains. Another one. Okay. So lots of learning that happens, lots of fine motor skills, lots of patience and focus and all sorts of great skills that are happening. Most of our artists will need a lot of next class still to print. So coming to class this week, or not to print, I'm sorry, to carve. Coming to class this week, we're going to carve and carve and carve and carve and carve. Some might be like, I'm ready to print. And in that case, we will have printing ink out for them so they can roll it. This is a process where you might print it and look at it and be like, that's not what I thought it was going to look like. Or, oh, that's not as balanced as I imagined it would be in reverse on an all gray background, but now it's high contrast. And I'm like, wait a minute. And obviously we can't put things back. We've carved them away, but we can carve out more. So more often than not, that's what needs to happen. There's too much black, meaning we didn't carve away enough. We didn't add enough pattern or interest to the untouched areas. So there might be some printing that happens in the 4th and 5th and homeschool classes this week, but not a lot. And it probably won't be final prints. If they do print, it'll be like a test run to see how's it going. All right, I want to talk through a little bit of my big kids. Oh, here we got pictures of these guys. These are pros, right? Longtime Liberty artists here. And they know how to use carving tools because, you know, they've been with us a long time. But see how their hands are back? Because they know, like, I don't put my hand here and then carve. Because that's when we need Band-Aids, right? To keep my hand back from the carving tools. Lots of head down work time. These guys are amazing. So I wanted to show you what they're doing. Now they're working a lot smaller. So this one was actually on the Instagram stories. So you can see we've carved away in this one. And the reason they're working smaller is because they're printing more. Where my 4th and 5th graders are their goal is one print, one color. Let's get one good one. These guys are printing multiple prints and they're printing multiple colors. So this one, they've carved away everything that they wanted to stay white. And then they printed in yellow. Oh, hang on. I'm going to move my lights so that it doesn't blow this out. I'll put them back on in a minute. You see, we've printed in yellow. Okay. Now, we have multiples of these. Actually, there should be 10. We told everybody to print 10. Because what's going to happen next is she's going to carve more away and print a different color right on top of this guy. And then again, carve more away right on top of this guy. So the reason we print 4 is for anyone who's ever done, or more than one, right? We're printing like 10 of these. If anyone's ever done printmaking, you know, sometimes you pull a print and it doesn't look good. Either it's not lined up right, or the ink dried before you got over there, or you didn't roll enough ink, or you rolled too much ink, you missed a spot. There's just things that happen that you have to do more than one to get a good one. So we want to have a whole collection of these because we can't redo this step. Because by the time we get to the second step, like we've carved it away, we can't put it back. So you can't reprint this one. So the reason we print 10 is so that by the end, hopefully we have one good one, right? Which we should. These guys are awesome. Okay. So these guys have, most of them did their designing, their drawing, their carving, and they printed their first color. If anybody didn't get their first color printed, we had our staff meeting and the instructors told me that if they didn't get their first color printed, they're ready to start on it, like walk into class and print the first color this week. And then they'll carve away, print the second color. So our goal is to have 2 colors done by the end of the class period this year, this week. And if they're running behind, their instructor will tell them. And behind is relative, right? Behind is just for our, like, hey, we're going to run out of February classes. You work at whatever pace you want. We'll give you more time. So if they're running behind, their teacher will tell them, and we will figure out a way, whether it's coming in before class or staying after class, or like coming in for one of those makeup sessions, we will figure out a way for them to get their project done. It's okay if you're a slow worker, or if you had a slow start, or you missed a class. It's okay. All right, creative explorations. I have no pictures. I'm like, what am I talking about? Where are my notes on this? There are no pictures for creative explorations this week because we didn't have class last week. Friday was an off day scheduled previously anyway. Last Friday was because Liberty Public Schools were off. And then Wednesday was a day that we took off because we could. So this is inaccurate. Please ignore this. I will change it in the notes. This was here before I canceled classes last Wednesday and moved it to later. So this is not your last class of February because we didn't actually meet last week. So everybody is still doing week 2 this week, if that makes sense, right? Because nobody had class last week. So we will cross our fingers and hope the weather cooperates and we all have class this week. All right, Drawing 101. I didn't bring any journals, but I did have some really cute pictures. And so Drawing 101 in last week's class, we started with 2-handed drawings. And I wanted to show a picture of it because it's hard to visualize what we're doing here. We get 2 different markers, put them in both hands, and we're going to draw a face. So there's a couple things this is working on. One, it is working both sides of our brain, which is fun, right? 2, it's establishing that faces are generally symmetrical. I mean, not perfectly symmetrical. Most people are not perfectly symmetrical. But in general, what happens on one side happens on the other. So they are drawing faces. This was our like fun, goofy little warm up. And then we did figure drawing. And our kids got to take turns being models. If you remember right, if you've watched videos from last month, our 102 realistic did this last month. But our 101s are doing it this month. And so we did these like large scale gesture drawings in charcoal. And everybody took turns being a model. Oh, wait, I should tell you what we're doing this week. So this week we continue with that figure, but rather than drawing from life or from photograph, we're going to draw from our imagination. So we're going to create, this is a more illustrative way of drawing, and we're going to create creatures or critters. So it still uses kind of the principles of the human body out of hearts. So we're using some design principles and some problem solving, and we're going to create heart creatures. All right, my 102 advanced realistic and 102 illustrative classes. All right, so this is a photograph from illustrative, and they use the mannequins. So I didn't bring a mannequin to show you. I know I have in the past, but these mannequins are different than like the wooden mannequins. These mannequins are made for this style of drawing. They have some more exaggerated facial features. Their proportions are a little bit more in line in what we see with like anime or manga. Or comic drawing even. And so we have a number of these dolls in the studios, and we've taken some time to do photographs of them in different poses. So that way we can work from photograph as well as from the mannequin in life. So we did some dynamic poses, and then we turned them into our characters. So this was a figure lesson for dynamic poses last week. This week, we're going to drill into the face. Now, we've done facial features lessons before. This one's really going to focus on how our faces show emotion and how we illustrate that. So we've got some resources that show the muscles of the face. and how the face can move, and then what our brains read that as, like what emotion is that. Oh wait, realistic. Man, this is what happens when I don't have notes. Advanced realistic. So our 102 realistic classes, also doing portraiture. Last week we did self-portrait. Remember, the first week we did from photograph. The second week we did from life, meaning we looked in a mirror and we drew ourselves. And now we're going to draw from our imagination. So we're still going to draw realistic. Our goal is still a realistic portrait, not something that's illustrative. So we're going to have to take what we know about the planes of the face, about the general positioning of the facial features, and we're going to have to draw a portrait. There are story prompts that we have written up. It talks a little bit about that character. It gives you kind of their backstory, almost like you were going to read a novel. It tells you about them, and we have to imagine what that character looks like to us, and then draw it. And they'll choose whether they draw it in profile or 3/4 or straight on. But the goal is that we'll draw a little smaller so we can do more than one, that these characters look different and also realistic. All right, 103 illustrative. I brought a couple examples. This is the Flatwoods illustrative class. And remember, they're drawing that like group selfie of either villains or superheroes. A lot of them, this is some Liberty examples. A lot of them, okay, turn that so it doesn't blow that out. A lot of them have their pencil sketches done, and they will start inking this week, with the goal that hopefully we finish inking and can start coloring in week 4. I love all the movement in this one. So this artist has started inking because there's some in pencil, some in ink, right? Lots of great facial expressions there. And then our very cool. All right, so good progress on those. They are rolling right along. My realistic, I did not bring examples for my realistic classes here in Liberty. So they're doing pet or animal portraits. So they work from photograph and doing in chalk pastels. Chalk pastels is a fast medium. It's very painterly. For a lot of them, they will finish this week, probably pretty early on in the class. So we have a choose your own adventure for them. So there's a number of different prompts, maybe 6 to 8 different challenges or prompts that they can do to extend the lesson. That either works on chalk pastels with a different subject, related but different, or works with the same subject in a different medium or different style. So we'll let them choose what they want to work on to kind of extend that lesson and go a little deeper. If they finish. If they don't finish, then they'll still be working on their project. All right, couple housekeeping things, and then I'll let you go. Reminder, if you're in preschool classes in Flatwoods, no classes today. But everybody else still has class. So Monday classes, I know it's President's Day, and I know it's snowing, but we do still have class today, okay? If you can't make it, some makeups report. And then our last little one, you're going to hear a lot about the art show starting in March. Because our drawing kids will work all month long on a showcase piece. Like hopefully they're already talking about it, but this is our kind of grand finale of the year, even though we still have May classes after that. But May's busy, so we don't do art shows in May. But definitely save the date for this. This is huge, big, it's awesome. And I'll talk more about in subsequent videos about the art show and what to expect. For those of you who've been there before, we'll talk about, like, if you were there last year, I got your notes. I'll talk about what's changing to help some of our traffic flow and our bottlenecks. So we've got all those notes, and the first committee meeting met last week, I think. And then we're meeting again. This time we're going to meet out at the Belvoir and do some more planning out there. So super fun, exciting event. Mark your calendars. Make sure you join us. It is from 4 to 7. It's a come and go type thing. And we'll have a agenda. Agenda is not the right word because that's what you use for meetings. Program. We'll have a program of events out, so you'll know kind of where all those things time out. And then trying to think. I will say the submission for the art show, it's open submission, so every artist can submit something. It's not a juried show, meaning if you submit, you're in. If you don't want to submit, it's okay. It's not required. Nobody will make you. For some kids, that's really stressful. So if you don't want to show art, that's okay. It's a brave thing to do, to take your art and put it out for the world. So we want to acknowledge that. And if that is not for you, you can just come and enjoy the community and see the show, right? Even if you don't put a piece in. So I hope that you do, though, because it's pretty awesome. All right, I think that's it. Is there anything else I needed to tell you? Those of you that submitted for the Martha Lafitte show, which is separate from us, right? That's a community juried show. That's not our show. You got an email from me today stating that we got your entries and that we're going to review them and select, and you should know by the end of the day tomorrow. I don't think there's anything else. I feel like there is, but I will post to social if there is, or it can wait till next week's video. It's fine. So, I will think of it. It's fine. I hope everybody has a great week. If you need anything from me, please let me know. Again, the best way to reach me is with email. The fastest way to reach me is a DM on one of our social media channels. So if you DM me on Facebook or DM me on Instagram, I'm very quick with a response. If you call me, it's gonna be 24 hours. Cool. All right. Bye, guys.